The first tremor came without warning. Deep within the most advanced research facility on the planet, a network of quantum sensors began to pulse with an erratic rhythm that defied every known scientific principle. Dr. Maya Chen leaned closer to the holographic display, her breath catching in her throat as impossible data streams began to cascade across the screens. Outside the facility's reinforced windows, the pre-dawn sky hung like a bruised canvas of deep purples and muted blues. The facility, nestled in the remote mountains of Chile, represented humanity's most advanced listening post, a global sentinel designed to catch even the faintest whispers from the depths of space. For decades, scientists had waited, listened, and hoped for something beyond the silent void. Maya's fingers danced across the quantum interface, her mind racing faster than the data streams flickering before her eyes. She had dedicated her entire career to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, enduring years of ridicule from colleagues who considered her work nothing more than an elaborate wild goose chase. Now something was happening, something that defied every established scientific understanding. The quantum sensors continued their frantic dance. Normally calibrated to detect the most minuscule gravitational disturbances, they were now registering energy signatures that should have been impossible. Waves of quantum fluctuations rippled through the data, creating patterns that looked almost like a language. Complex, structured, yet completely alien. Director Chen, a young technician's voice crackled through the intercom. "We're detecting multiple anomalies in the outer solar system detection grid." Maya's mind raced. The outer solar system grid stretched from the asteroid belt to the distant Kuiper belt, a massive network of sensors designed to track even the smallest celestial movements. If something was triggering multiple stations simultaneously, it wasn't just significant, it was potentially world-changing. She pulled up the comprehensive solar system map, her hand steady despite the excitement building in her chest. Holographic representations of planetary orbits and sensor arrays filled the room, creating a three-dimensional landscape of human technological achievement. And there, right at the edge of the mapped regions, something was emerging. Initial readings suggested an object, or objects, that defied conventional understanding. They were moving with a precision that suggested intelligent navigation, yet their propulsion system left no recognizable energy signature. No chemical exhaust, no nuclear radiation, no electromagnetic trail. It was as if they were slipping between the known laws of physics. "Run a full spectrum analysis," Maya commanded, her voice calm but charged with an underlying current of anticipation. Years of scientific training had taught her to manage her emotions, to approach the unknown with calculated precision. The facility around her hummed with activity. Dozens of scientists and researchers moved with controlled urgency, each understanding the potential magnitude of what was unfolding. This was more than a discovery. This was a moment that could redefine humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. As the first rays of sunlight began to break over the mountain range, the quantum sensors reached a crescendo. Something was coming. Something vast. Something that had traveled distances beyond human comprehension, following a trajectory that suggested not just movement, but purpose. Maya Chen watched as the first visual representations began to take shape. They were not metallic constructions, nor were they natural celestial bodies. The emerging forms suggested a technology so advanced that it blurred the line between engineering and organic life. Crystalline structures that seemed to breathe with an internal luminescence, moving with a fluidity that suggested consciousness. "Contact the Global Scientific Consortium." She spoke into her communication device. "Initiate highest-level communication protocols." This is not a drill. The world was about to change. Humanity was about to face its first true encounter with something beyond its comprehension. And at the edge of known space, something ancient and incomprehensible was approaching, carrying with it the promise of a revelation that would challenge everything humans thought they understood about existence. The dawn broke, and everything was about to be different. The world watched in collective silence as the crystalline ships materialized beyond Jupiter's orbit. Global communication networks flickered and died, replaced by a haunting series of signals that defied human understanding. In government command centers across the planet, military strategists and political leaders stared in disbelief as their most advanced tracking systems struggled to comprehend the alien presence. At the United Nations emergency session, Dr. Maya Chen stood before a gathering of world leaders, her presentation a stark illustration of humanity's vulnerability. Holographic displays showed the alien vessels, not ships in any traditional sense, but living, breathing structures that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Each vessel was a complex ecosystem, a blend of technology and organic matter that challenged every known concept of engineering. "They are not just approaching," Maya explained, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "They are communicating, but not in any way we've ever encountered before." The first message came as a wave of quantum information that crashed through every electronic system on the planet. It wasn't a traditional transmission, but a complex series of mathematical patterns that simultaneously conveyed threat, assessment, and a chilling ultimatum. Linguistic experts and quantum communication specialists worked frantically to decode the message, their faces growing pale with each passing hour. In major cities around the world, something extraordinary began to happen. Energy fields of impossible complexity materialized around metropolitan centers. These were not weapons in any conventional sense, but adaptive barriers that seemed to absorb and neutralize any technological intervention. Military jets that approached simply vanished, their electronic systems completely disabled. Missile defense systems became nothing more than inert metal and circuitry. The global economy went into immediate shutdown. Stock markets collapsed within minutes. Communication networks became fragmented, with only isolated pockets of connectivity remaining. It was as if the alien presence was methodically dismantling human infrastructure with surgical precision. President Elena Rodriguez of the Global United Coalition addressed the world in an emergency broadcast. Her office, like most centers of government, was now surrounded by the alien energy fields. "We are facing a challenge unlike any in human history," she spoke, her voice a mixture of determination and barely concealed fear. "But we are not defeated." Military strategists quickly realized the futility of conventional resistance. The alien technology demonstrated capabilities that made human weapons look like primitive toys. Energy manipulation, quantum disruption, spatial reconfiguration. These were not just advanced technologies, but fundamental reimaginings of physical laws. Dr. Chen continued her analysis, revealing layers of complexity that both terrified and fascinated the scientific community. The alien presence was not just technologically superior. It seemed to operate on principles that suggested a completely different understanding of existence. Their communication was simultaneously a weapon, a method of assessment, and potentially a form of intelligence beyond human comprehension. Research stations around the world began to compile data. The crystalline ships were not just vessels, but living systems that adapted and responded to their environment with an intelligence that blurred the line between technology and consciousness. They moved through space not with propulsion, but by fundamentally altering the fabric of space-time around them. In military bunkers and scientific research centers, a new understanding began to emerge. This was not a traditional invasion. The aliens were conducting something more akin to a comprehensive assessment, measuring humanity's potential, capabilities, and threat level. Every human action was being analyzed, every technological system mapped and understood. The global population oscillated between terror and a strange collective calm. Some saw the end of human civilization. Others saw an unprecedented opportunity for growth and understanding. Community centers became impromptu communication hubs. Scientists worked around the clock. Engineers attempted to understand the alien technology through fragmented signals and quantum echoes. As the first full day of the alien presence concluded, humanity found itself at a crossroads. The old world had ended. A new chapter was about to begin. And no one, not the most advanced military strategist, not the most brilliant scientist, not the most visionary political leader, could predict what would happen next. The crystalline ships continued their silent vigil, waiting, watching, assessing. The research compound buzzed with an energy that defied the global sense of hopelessness. Dr. Maya Chen had assembled a team that looked nothing like a traditional scientific response group. Sitting around a circular table were minds that represented the most diverse collection of human potential ever gathered. Kai Zhang, a 28-year-old programmer with a background in neural network design, sat next to Dr. Aisha Okonkwo, a quantum physicist whose groundbreaking work on nonlinear communication systems had been largely ignored by the scientific community. Beside them, Professor Marcus Rodriguez, an anthropologist specializing in adaptive social systems, reviewed holographic projections of the alien communication patterns. "They're looking at us wrong," Kai muttered, his fingers dancing across a quantum interface that seemed to respond to his thoughts more than his touch. "Every analysis assumes they understand us. But what if their entire approach is fundamentally flawed?" Dr. Okonkwo leaned in, her eyes catching a strange pattern in the data stream. "Look at the communication structure. It's not just a language or a technology. It's a complete cognitive system that assumes linear progression and hierarchical information transfer." Marcus Rodriguez smiled, understanding dawning in his eyes. "Exactly. Humanity's greatest strength has never been our technology. It's our ability to think outside of established systems." The team had been working for 72 hours straight, fueled by a combination of advanced nutritional supplements and an overwhelming sense of purpose. Around them, the research facility hummed with activity. Every available mind had been recruited: retired engineers, maverick scientists, artists, musicians, mathematicians, individuals who could see patterns where others saw chaos. Global communication networks had been reduced to fragmented, localized systems, but this limitation became their greatest advantage. Small groups around the world began to develop unique approaches to understanding the alien presence. In a community center in Sao Paulo, a group of indigenous programmers combined traditional pattern recognition techniques with advanced quantum computing. In Tokyo, a collective of game designers started treating the alien communication as the most complex puzzle ever created. Maya watched as the team began to deconstruct the alien technology's fundamental assumptions. The crystalline ships weren't just technological marvels. They were a reflection of a cognitive system that valued predictability above all else. Every movement, every communication signal suggested a civilization that had optimized itself to such a degree that it had lost the ability to truly adapt. "They've solved problems," Kai explained, pulling up complex visualizations, "but they've done so by creating increasingly complex systems. We solve problems by breaking systems apart." A breakthrough emerged from the most unexpected source. A young musician named Elena, brought in for her exceptional pattern recognition skills, noticed something in the alien communication that no one else had seen. The way the signals moved wasn't just a transfer of information. It was a form of cognitive music, with rhythms and structures that suggested a deep, almost emotional level of communication. "It's not just data," Elena said, her fingers tracing complex patterns on a holographic display. "It's a conversation, but they don't realize we're capable of listening." The team worked to develop an adaptive algorithm that could not just interpret the alien communication, but could actively engage with it. They weren't trying to match the alien technology's power. They were finding its fundamental weakness, its inability to comprehend true randomness and creative thinking. Outside, the world continued to exist under the shadow of the alien presence. But inside this research compound, something extraordinary was happening. Humanity was not preparing to fight. They were learning to communicate in a way that no one, human or alien, had ever imagined possible. As the first prototype of their adaptive communication system came online, Maya Chen looked at her team. They were not warriors. They were not traditional scientists. They were something entirely new, a living, breathing representation of human potential. The crystalline ships continued their silent watch, but for the first time since their arrival, something in their energy signature suggested a moment of confusion. Humanity was about to show them something completely unexpected. The research compound transformed into a living, breathing organism of human innovation. Kai Zhang stood before a massive holographic display, his fingers moving with a precision that seemed to blur the line between human thought and technological manipulation. Surrounding him, the team watched as complex algorithmic patterns began to take shape, a digital ecosystem designed to exploit the most subtle vulnerabilities in the alien communication network. "It's not about breaking their system," Kai explained, his voice calm but charged with excitement. "It's about understanding the rhythm of their communication. Every technological civilization has a heartbeat, a fundamental pattern of information transfer." Dr. Maya Chen leaned closer, her eyes tracking the intricate data streams. The breakthrough had come from an unexpected combination of quantum computing, linguistic analysis, and something that bordered on pure creativity. The alien communication system was incredibly advanced, but it operated on a set of assumptions that became its greatest weakness. Alina, the musician who had first noticed the rhythmic nature of the alien signals, had become a crucial member of the research team. Her background in complex musical composition provided insights that traditional scientists had overlooked. "They communicate in layers," she explained, playing a series of harmonic patterns on a quantum interface, but their layers are too perfectly structured. There's no room for improvisation. The team had discovered something profound. The alien civilization's technological superiority came with a critical limitation, a complete inability to comprehend true randomness. Their communication systems were so optimized, so perfectly calibrated, that they could not process unexpected input. Across the global research network, similar teams were making their own discoveries. In a converted warehouse in Mumbai, a group of programmers and game designers have been treating the alien communication as the most complex puzzle ever created. In a remote research station in Antarctica, climate scientists were applying their understanding of complex adaptive systems to the alien technology. Kai's algorithm began to take shape, a digital entity that could not just interpret the alien signals, but could actively manipulate them. It was designed to be unpredictable, to introduce subtle variations that would create cascading uncertainties in the alien communication network. "Watch this," Kai said, his fingers dancing across the quantum interface. The first test came unexpectedly. One of the massive crystalline ships that had been maintaining a constant vigil over Earth suddenly shifted its position. The movement was minute, almost imperceptible, but it suggested something extraordinary. Their algorithm had introduced the first moment of genuine uncertainty into the alien system. Dr. Okonkwo monitored the quantum sensors, her breath catching. "We're seeing real-time adaptation in their communication structure. They're trying to compensate, but the variations are too complex." The breakthrough was more than a technological achievement. It was a fundamental challenge to the alien civilization's understanding of intelligence. Humanity was showing that true adaptability was not about perfect optimization, but about the ability to improvise, to create, to respond to the unexpected. Reports began to come in from around the world. Military defense systems that had been completely disabled were showing signs of partial reactivation. Communication networks that had been fragmented were finding new, unexpected pathways of connection. The alien energy fields that had surrounded major cities began to show subtle variations, small cracks in what had seemed like an impenetrable barrier. "They're learning about us," Marcus Rodriguez observed, his anthropological background providing the unique perspective. "But they're learning in a way they never anticipated. We're not just resisting. We're communicating." As the first day of their counteroffensive concluded, the research team looked at each other with a mixture of excitement and profound understanding. They had done more than find a way to fight back. They had demonstrated something fundamental about human potential. The crystalline ships continued their silent watch. But now, there was something different in their energy signature, something that suggested, for the first time, a genuine sense of uncertainty. Humanity had just changed the rules of engagement. The world transformed in ways no one could have predicted. What began as a global crisis became humanity's most extraordinary moment of collective evolution. From the research compounds to the most remote villages, every human became part of a living, breathing problem-solving network. In Sao Paulo, a collective of indigenous programmers combined traditional pattern recognition techniques with quantum computing. Their approach was radically different from conventional scientific methods. They saw the alien communication as a complex dialogue, not just a technological challenge. Children who had grown up learning ancestral tracking skills now applied those same observational techniques to decoding alien signal patterns. A retired electrical engineer in Lagos became a critical node in the global communication network. Her lifetime of experience with improvised communication systems during periods of political instability gave her insights that young technologists missed. She developed a communication relay system using repurposed radio equipment, creating pathways of connection that bypassed the alien energy barriers. In the mountains of Nepal, a group of Buddhist monks approached the challenge with a perspective that defied traditional scientific thinking. They treated the alien presence as a complex meditation problem, a challenge of understanding consciousness beyond human perception. Their techniques of mindful observation began to yield unexpected insights into the alien communication structures. Dr. Maya Chen watched as the global response evolved. The research team had become something more than a traditional scientific group. They were now coordinators of a planetary-scale problem-solving organism. Every piece of information, every unique perspective became a potential breakthrough. Kaijong continued to refine the adaptive algorithm, but now he was supported by thousands of contributors around the world. A teenager in Tokyo discovered a subtle pattern in the algorithm's communication approach. A marine biologist in Australia provided insights into complex communication systems based on her work with dolphin communication. A street artist in Berlin created visual representations that helped scientists understand the alien signal's spatial dynamics. The alien crystalline ships seemed to struggle with this new human approach. Their communication system, designed for linear and predictable interactions, could not comprehend the organic, improvisational nature of human problem-solving. Each attempt to analyze human response created more uncertainty in their own systems. Communication networks began to rebuild themselves in unexpected ways. Where traditional infrastructure had failed, people created new pathways. Mesh networks sprouted in cities, using everything from modified satellite dishes to repurposed gaming consoles. Community centers became hubs of technological innovation and information sharing. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo discovered something profound about human potential. The alien civilization had optimized itself to such a degree that it had lost the ability to truly adapt. Humanity's perceived weakness, its diversity, its internal conflicts, its ability to disagree, became its greatest strength. No single approach could solve the challenge. It required a complex, dynamic, constantly shifting response. In a converted warehouse in Mumbai, a group of programmers and game designers treated the alien communication as the most complex puzzle ever created. They developed adaptive games that allowed people worldwide to contribute to understanding the alien signal patterns. What seemed like a game became a critical tool for global communication and analysis. The global response defied every conventional understanding of crisis management. Governments became facilitators rather than controllers. Scientific institutions opened their research to global collaboration. The traditional hierarchies of knowledge distribution collapsed, replaced by a more organic, democratic approach to problem-solving. Marcus Rodriguez, the anthropologist, observed the transformation with a sense of wonder. "We're not just fighting," he told Maya. "We're communicating in a way that transcends traditional understanding of intelligence." As the days passed, something extraordinary became clear. The alien presence had triggered humanity's most profound evolutionary moment. Not a technological evolution, but a collective awakening of human potential. The crystalline ships continued their silent observation, but now their energy signatures suggested something new, a genuine sense of confusion, perhaps even concern. Humanity was showing them something they had never encountered before, a living, breathing, constantly adapting intelligence that could not be predicted, controlled, or understood through traditional technological means. The dimensional disruptor materialized beyond Earth's orbit with a silent, terrifying precision. Quantum sensors across the global research network captured its emergence, a technological marvel that defied every known principle of physics. Dr. Maya Chen stood in the primary observation chamber, her team assembled around her, watching as humanity faced its most critical moment. The device was unlike anything humans had ever encountered. It wasn't just a weapon, but a complex quantum construct capable of unraveling the fundamental structural integrity of entire planetary systems. Its energy signature suggested a technology so advanced that it existed simultaneously in multiple dimensional states, capable of decimating entire civilizations with a single quantum pulse. "It's not just about destruction," Dr. Aisha Okonkwo whispered, her quantum analysis revealing layers of complexity that challenged human understanding. "They're conducting a systematic evaluation. This is a test." Kai Zhang's fingers moved across the quantum interface, creating a real-time visualization of the disruptor's approach. The team had been preparing for this moment, piecing together a response that went far beyond traditional defensive strategies. They understood now that this was a challenge of cosmic intelligence, a confrontation that would define humanity's place in the universe. The global network of researchers had been working on a radical plan. It wasn't about matching the alien technology's power, but about understanding its fundamental principles. Elena, the musician-turned-quantum communication specialist, had been instrumental in developing an approach that blended scientific precision with creative improvisation. "We're not going to stop it," Marcus Rodriguez observed, his anthropological perspective providing a unique insight. "We're going to transform it." The research compound became a hive of intense activity. Scientists, mathematicians, artists, and philosophers worked in a state of perfect synchronization. They had discovered something profound about the dimensional disruptor. Its incredible power came with an equally incredible vulnerability. The technology was so optimized, so perfectly calibrated, that it could not comprehend true randomness. Kai's adaptive algorithm, developed over weeks of collaborative global research, was more than a piece of software. It was a living system of human intelligence, capable of learning, adapting, and responding in ways the alien technology could not predict. The team had essentially created a quantum-level communication system that could speak the language of the disruptor, but with an unpredictability that would challenge its fundamental programming. As the disruptor approached, the global communication networks began to shift. It wasn't a traditional defensive maneuver. Instead, it was a complex, organic response that transformed the very nature of the incoming threat. Community centers became quantum relay points. Individual humans became living nodes in a planetary-scale communication network. Dr. Maya Chen watched as the first phase of their plan began to take shape. The dimensional disruptor's energy began to respond to the human communication network in unexpected ways. Its quantum structure started to encounter variations it could not mathematically resolve. Each attempt to maintain its destructive trajectory created more internal complexity, more uncertainty. They designed a weapon, Aisha explained to the team, that assumes a linear progression of intelligence. But intelligence isn't linear. It's organic. It's unpredictable. The final moments approached with a tension that seemed to stretch across the entire planet. The disruptor was close enough now that its quantum signature began to interact with Earth's own complex energy systems. But something extraordinary was happening. Instead of destruction, the device was beginning to transform. Global sensors showed something unprecedented. The dimensional disruptor was not being destroyed. It was being communicated with, converted, transformed by the very intelligence it was meant to eliminate. In the observation chamber, Maya looked at her team. They weren't just scientists or researchers anymore. They were representatives of a new form of cosmic intelligence, an intelligence that could turn a weapon of total destruction into a moment of profound communication. The crystalline ships that had been watching Earth suddenly showed a new energy signature, something that suggested, for the first time, genuine confusion, perhaps even concern. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of cosmic interaction. The final confrontation began not with a thunderous explosion, but with a quantum resonance that rippled across the fabric of spacetime. Dr. Maya Chen stood at the epicenter of humanity's most extraordinary moment, her team surrounding her in a research compound that had become the nexus of a planetary defense unlike any in history. The quantum resonance network activated with a precision that defied traditional understanding of communication, defense, or warfare. It was a living system, part technology, part human consciousness, part something entirely new. Global communication networks, community centers, research stations, and individual human minds became interconnected nodes in a complex, adaptive intelligence. Kaizhang's adaptive algorithm reached its most sophisticated iteration. What had begun as a piece of software was now a dynamic, living system that could communicate with the alien technology on a level beyond traditional understanding. Each quantum pulse carried not just information, but the collective emotional and intellectual energy of humanity. "We're not fighting," Alina explained to the team, her background in music providing a unique perspective. "We're communicating in a language they've never encountered before." The crystalline ships that had dominated Earth's skies began to show signs of fundamental disruption. Their perfect, optimized systems encountered something they could not process, a form of intelligence that was simultaneously logical and emotional, structured and chaotic, predictable and wildly innovative. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo monitored the quantum sensors, her eyes wide with wonder. The dimensional disruptor, the ultimate weapon designed to unravel planetary systems, was experiencing something unprecedented. Instead of destroying, it was being transformed. Its quantum structure was encountering variations it could not mathematically resolve. Around the world, humans became active participants in a cosmic dialogue. Indigenous trackers in the Amazon rainforest contributed pattern recognition techniques. Mathematicians in Seoul developed complex algorithmic variations. Artists in Barcelona created visual representations of quantum communication that provided unexpected insights. Marcus Rodriguez, the anthropologist, understood what was happening on a deeper level. "This isn't about technology," he told Maya. "This is about intelligence itself. We're showing them a form of consciousness they've never imagined." The quantum resonance network reached a critical point. It was no longer just a defensive system or a communication method. It had become a living, breathing representation of human potential. Each quantum pulse carried the complexity of human experience, the pain of conflict, the joy of discovery, the hope of understanding. The crystalline ships began to change. Their perfect geometric structures started to show variations, subtle shifts that suggested a fundamental recalibration of their understanding. The dimensional disruptor, designed to be the ultimate weapon of destruction, was being transformed into something else entirely. Kai watched in amazement as the algorithm reached its most complex iteration. "We're not defeating them," he said softly. "We're teaching them." Global sensors captured an extraordinary moment. The alien technology was not being destroyed. It was being communicated with, converted, transformed by the very intelligence it was meant to eliminate. The quantum resonance network had become a bridge between two fundamentally different forms of intelligence. Dr. Maya Chen realized they had achieved something beyond victory. They had demonstrated a form of cosmic communication that transcended traditional understanding of technology, intelligence, and interaction. The final moments of the confrontation were silent, profound. The crystalline ships that had dominated Earth's skies for weeks began to show a new energy signature, something that suggested genuine understanding, perhaps even respect. Humanity had done more than survive. They had rewritten the rules of cosmic interaction. As the quantum resonance network reached its peak, something extraordinary happened. The alien technology didn't retreat. It didn't surrender. It began to change, to adapt, to communicate in a way it never had before. The universe watched, and humanity showed it something completely unexpected. The world emerged from the confrontation fundamentally transformed. Dr. Maya Chen stood before the Global Unity Council, her presentation a testament to humanity's extraordinary journey. The crystalline ships that had once threatened total destruction now hovered in Earth's orbit, not as conquerors, but as observers, perhaps even students. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo's research revealed the profound nature of their encounter. The alien civilization had encountered something completely unprecedented, a form of intelligence that defied every established understanding of technological and biological evolution. Humanity had not just survived. They had demonstrated a cosmic potential that challenged the very foundations of interstellar communication. "We didn't win a war," Maya explained to the gathered representatives. "We initiated a dialogue that transformed both civilizations." The global transformation was immediate and profound. The technologies developed during the confrontation began to reshape human society in ways no one could have anticipated. Quantum communication networks that had been created as a defensive mechanism now became the foundation of a new global infrastructure. Educational systems were revolutionized, focusing on the very skills that had saved humanity: creative thinking, adaptive problem-solving, and collaborative intelligence. Kai Zhang and his team of researchers became global ambassadors of a new approach to understanding intelligence. Universities around the world began developing programs that broke down traditional disciplinary boundaries. A mathematician might now work alongside a musician, a quantum physicist with an indigenous tracker, an artist with a computer scientist. The alien technology that remained in Earth's orbit became a source of continuous study, but it was no longer viewed as a threat. Instead, it was a complex communication partner, a living testament to the possibility of understanding beyond traditional technological boundaries. Marcus Rodriguez, the anthropologist, documented the profound social changes. Human communities began to organize differently. Traditional hierarchies dissolved, replaced by more fluid, adaptive social structures. The global response to the alien encounter had shown that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to work together, to think collectively, to transform challenges into opportunities. Elena, whose musical background had been crucial to understanding alien communication, now led a global initiative exploring new forms of interspecies communication. Her work suggested that intelligence was not just about technological capability, but about the ability to listen, to adapt, to understand. The economic systems of the world underwent a radical transformation. The collaborative approach that had saved humanity from destruction now became the primary model of global economic interaction. Resources were distributed based on problem-solving potential, creativity, and collective benefit rather than traditional competitive models. Scientific research entered a new era. The quantum resonance network developed during the confrontation became a tool for exploring the fundamental nature of consciousness, communication, and cosmic interaction. Researchers began to understand that intelligence was not a fixed concept, but a dynamic, evolving process. Dr. Maya Chen reflected on the journey. What had begun as a potential extinction event had become humanity's most profound moment of collective growth. The alien civilization had come with the intention of assessment, of determining humanity's value. Instead, they had encountered something they could never have predicted, a form of intelligence that was simultaneously logical and emotional, structured and chaotic, individual and collective. The crystalline ships that remained in orbit became a constant reminder of the encounter. They were no longer symbols of threat, but of possibility. Each day, they showed subtle changes, adaptations that suggested an ongoing dialogue, a continuous process of mutual understanding. Global communication networks now carried conversations that would have been impossible before the encounter. Scientific discoveries were shared instantaneously. Creative solutions to global challenges emerged from unexpected collaborations. The boundaries between disciplines, between cultures, between ways of thinking began to dissolve. As the first year after the encounter concluded, humanity looked to the stars with a new understanding. They were not just inhabitants of a single planet, but participants in a cosmic dialogue of unprecedented complexity. The universe had tested humanity, and humanity had responded in a way that redefined the very concept of intelligence. Something extraordinary had happened, and it was just the beginning.